You probably think you're eating healthy. Maybe you've switched to whole grains, started having salads, and even swapped out soda for juice. But what if I told you that some of the foods you believe are harmless or even healthy are actually silently destroying your heart? Yes, you heard me right. Every single day, millions of people are unknowingly eating things that damage their arteries, raise inflammation, and make it harder for their heart to do the one job it's meant to do: keep you alive. So, before your next meal, stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which foods you should stop eating immediately if you want to protect your heart, live longer, and feel stronger than ever. Let's be honest, no one plans to damage their heart. It happens quietly. It happens slowly. One grocery choice at a time, one snack at a time. And before you know it, the same foods you thought were keeping you energized are actually clogging your arteries, hardening your vessels, and weakening your cardiovascular system from the inside out. The problem isn't just what we eat. It's how food companies disguise unhealthy ingredients under names that sound safe. So today, I want to expose the truth behind the worst foods that are secretly sabotaging your heart health. And once you know them, I promise you'll never look at your plate the same way again. Let's start with something that's probably sitting in almost every kitchen right now: processed vegetable oils. You've been told for decades that these are heart healthy. Canola oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, corn oil. They all sound harmless, right? But here's what most people don't realize. These oils are chemically extracted at extremely high temperatures, which changes their molecular structure and fills them with oxidized compounds and inflammatory omega-6 fats. When you consume them regularly, they trigger silent inflammation inside your blood vessels. Over time, this inflammation damages the lining of your arteries, making it easier for plaque to build up. And that plaque buildup, known as atherosclerosis, is what eventually leads to heart attacks and strokes. The irony: these same oils are advertised as healthy substitutes for butter, but in reality, they're one of the biggest threats to your cardiovascular system. If you really want to protect your heart, switch to natural fats like extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, or even small amounts of grass-fed butter. Your body knows how to process real fats. It struggles with the fake ones. And speaking of fake, let's talk about processed meats. Bacon, sausage, hot dogs, ham, pepperoni. They may taste good, but they come with a cost. Processed meats are loaded with sodium, nitrates, and other chemical preservatives that damage blood vessel walls and increase oxidative stress. Research has shown that people who consume processed meats daily have a much higher risk of developing heart disease and even dying from it. It's not just the fat in these meats that's the issue. It's the chemical processing and the way these compounds interfere with nitric oxide production in your arteries. Nitric oxide is what keeps your blood vessels relaxed and flexible. Without it, your arteries stiffen, your blood pressure rises, and your heart has to work harder to push blood through your body. You might not feel it immediately, but this is exactly how long-term heart damage begins. Let's take a look at something that might shock you. Artificially sweetened foods and drinks. Many people switch to sugar-free products thinking they're doing their heart a favor, but artificial sweeteners like aspartame and sucralose can disrupt your gut microbiome, increase insulin resistance, and raise your risk of metabolic syndrome, a major risk factor for heart disease. What's worse, studies have found that people who regularly consume diet sodas actually have higher rates of heart attacks and strokes compared to those who don't. Why? Because artificial sweeteners confuse your body's natural hunger and reward systems, leading to more cravings and overeating. So while you might think you're saving calories, you're actually setting your metabolism up for failure. If you crave something sweet, you're better off using a small amount of raw honey, pure maple syrup, or natural fruit. At least your body recognizes those as real food. Here's one that most people still get wrong: refined carbohydrates. I'm talking about white bread, white rice, pastries, breakfast cereals, and those soft rolls that seem innocent. These foods are stripped of fiber, vitamins, and minerals, leaving behind nothing but quick digesting starch. The moment you eat them, your blood sugar spikes, your insulin surges, and your body goes into fat storage mode. Over time, this constant blood sugar roller coaster leads to insulin resistance, which damages the lining of your arteries and makes your heart more vulnerable. The more refined carbs you eat, the more your body turns them into triglycerides, fats that circulate in your bloodstream and clog your arteries. It's a vicious cycle. You eat bread thinking it's light and easy on your system, but your heart pays the price in silence. The fix: choose complex carbs like quinoa, oats, buckwheat, or sweet potatoes, foods that release energy slowly and keep your blood sugar stable. And let's not forget about one of the sneakiest culprits of all: trans fats. Although many countries have banned them, they still appear in certain packaged foods, frozen pastries, and margarine. Trans fats are the Frankenstein of the food world, completely artificial, made by hydrogenating oils to make them solid at room temperature. The result: a fat that increases LDL cholesterol, that kind, and lowers HDL, the good kind. This combination is deadly for your heart. It thickens your blood, inflames your arteries, and dramatically raises your risk of a heart attack. The problem is that food labels don't always tell the full story. Some products claim 0 trans fats, but if they contain less than half a gram per serving, companies are allowed to round it down to 0. So even a few servings of your favorite snacks can add up to a dangerous dose. Always check for partially hydrogenated oils on the ingredients list. That's your red flag. I know this next one might hurt a little, because almost everyone loves it, but commercial baked goods and pastries are among the worst offenders for heart health. Donuts, muffins, cakes, cookies, they're a triple threat loaded with sugar, refined flour, and unhealthy fats. Together, they raise your blood sugar, trigger inflammation, and damage your arteries. And if that wasn't enough, most of these treats are made with refined oils and preservatives that extend their shelf life but shorten yours. What's worse, sugar is addictive. It lights up the same pleasure centers in your brain as drugs like cocaine, which makes it extremely hard to quit once you start. The occasional homemade dessert made with real ingredients, that's fine. But the processed stuff from the store, that's a heart disaster waiting to happen. Let's talk about the foods that pretend to be healthy: granola bars, flavored yogurts, smoothies from popular chains. They all wear the disguise of health. But underneath, many are loaded with hidden sugars, artificial flavors, and stabilizers. A single cup of flavored yogurt can have more sugar than a can of soda. And those prepackaged smoothies that claim to be natural, they're often made from concentrated juices that spike your blood sugar faster than candy. Your heart doesn't care whether sugar comes from a soda or a so-called health drink. The damage is the same. The best way to know what's really in your food is to prepare it yourself. When you make your own smoothie with real fruit, leafy greens, and maybe a scoop of protein, you know exactly what's going into your body. And while we're on the topic of sugar, let's not ignore the biggest sugar delivery system of all, sugary drinks. Soft drinks, energy drinks, fruit juices, they're pure liquid sugar. They flood your bloodstream with glucose because insulin spikes and increase fat storage around your organs, especially the liver. That leads to fatty liver disease, metabolic syndrome, and eventually heart disease. The sad part is how normalized these drinks have become. They're marketed as refreshing, energizing, or even sporty, but they're doing the exact opposite of what your body needs. Your heart thrives on steady energy from real food, not from the sugar highs and crashes of processed drinks. If you want to give your heart a break, make water, herbal tea, or infused water your go-to. Here's something few people talk about: excess sodium from packaged and restaurant foods. Most people think salt is the enemy, but the problem isn't the salt you sprinkle on your home cooked meal. It's the massive amount hidden in processed foods, canned soups, sauces, frozen dinners, and restaurant meals. High sodium intake increases your blood volume, which puts extra pressure on your arteries. Over time, this raises your blood pressure, forcing your heart to work harder and eventually leading to hypertrophy, thickening of the heart walls. The key isn't to fear salt, it's to control where it comes from. Natural sea salt in moderation is fine, but the artificial, processed sodium additives in junk food are the real villains. Another heart-damaging food that doesn't get enough attention: fast food. Burgers, fries, pizza, fried chicken, they're a perfect storm of sodium, trans fats, refined carbs, and chemical additives. Every bite triggers inflammation, oxidative stress, and insulin spikes. And here's the kicker: the more fast food you eat, the more your body adapts to crave it. It dulls your natural hunger cues and replaces real nourishment with empty calories. Your heart doesn't just get clogged from fat. It gets starved of the nutrients it needs to repair itself. Think about it. Every cell in your heart needs magnesium, potassium, and antioxidants to function. Fast food gives you none of that. It just gives you flavor, salt, and a short burst of dopamine that leaves you feeling worse afterward. Let's address alcohol. While a glass of red wine occasionally might not harm you, regular drinking, especially beer, cocktails, and spirits, puts tremendous strain on your heart. Alcohol raises triglyceride levels, increases blood pressure, and contributes to irregular heart rhythms. It also depletes your body of magnesium and B vitamins, which are essential for heart health. Over time, heavy drinking weakens the heart muscle, a condition called cardiomyopathy. The tricky thing is that alcohol feels relaxing, but inside, it's doing the opposite. It's increasing oxidative stress and disrupting the balance of good and bad cholesterol. If you really want a strong heart, cutting back on alcohol is one of the smartest decisions you can make. And then there's the hidden danger of fried foods. Every time oil is heated to high temperatures, it oxidizes, producing compounds that are toxic to your arteries. Whether it's fried chicken, French fries, or crispy snacks. The damage comes from those reheated oils used in restaurants and packaged foods. These oxidized fats trigger inflammation in your blood vessels and raise your risk of heart failure. Even air-fried food, though better, can't make up for the poor quality oils used in most processed snacks. The truth is, your heart doesn't care how crunchy or golden something looks. It only cares about how that food affects your circulation. Let's not forget the energy drinks that promise to boost your performance. They're loaded with caffeine, sugar, and stimulants that raise your heart rate and blood pressure. For someone with even mild heart strain, this combination can be dangerous. The short-term energy burst might feel great, but it comes with a hidden crash, and that crash pushes your adrenal glands and heart into overdrive. Over time, this constant stimulation weakens your cardiovascular resilience. Real energy doesn't come from a can. It comes from balanced nutrition, proper sleep, and hydration. Here's something subtle but important: low-fat or fat-free processed foods. For years, people were told that fat causes heart disease, so food companies removed the fat and replaced it with sugar, starch, and artificial thickeners. The result? Foods that taste okay, but do far more harm than good. Your heart actually needs healthy fats, omega-3s, monounsaturated fats, and even certain saturated fats to keep cell membranes flexible and reduce inflammation. When you deprive your body of these fats, your cholesterol balance gets worse, not better. So if you see low fat or fat-free on a label, that's usually a warning sign that the product has been heavily processed and stripped of nutrients. What's the takeaway from all of this? It's not about perfection. It's about awareness. Most people don't get heart disease overnight. It builds up slowly through years of small, repeated choices. That extra sugary snack, that second soda, that quick meal from the drive-thru, it all adds up. The good news is your heart is incredibly resilient. The moment you start feeding it real, whole foods, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, lean proteins, and healthy fats, it begins to repair itself. Your blood pressure drops, your cholesterol normalizes, and your arteries start to regain flexibility. Within weeks, you can literally feel the difference. More energy, better focus, improved endurance. The next time you stand in front of your pantry or grocery aisle, ask yourself, is this food feeding my heart, or is it fighting against it? Because every bite you take is either a step toward a stronger, healthier life, or another step toward fatigue, inflammation, and disease. You have the power to choose. You can protect your heart starting today simply by cutting out these hidden destroyers and replacing them with foods that truly heal. Remember, your heart doesn't need perfection. It needs consistency, nourishment, and care. Feed it wisely, and it will keep beating strong for decades to come. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button. It really supports the channel and helps more people discover this information. Subscribe if you haven't already, because I have so many more videos coming your way that will help you rebuild your health naturally, boost your energy, and feel alive again. And before you go, drop a comment below. Tell me which of these heart-damaging foods surprised you the most, or which one you're planning to cut out starting today. I'd love to hear from you. Remember, the best time to protect your heart was yesterday, but the next best time is right now. Take that first step. Your heart will thank you for it. And there's something else that many people don't realize until it's too late. Something that looks harmless because it's tied to celebration, social life, or relaxation after a long day. Alcohol mixed with sugary beverages amplifies inflammation and triglyceride production, burdening the heart in ways most people never imagine. When you mix alcohol with sugary sodas, syrups, or energy drinks, you're creating one of the most dangerous cocktails for your cardiovascular system. It's not just about the calories, it's about the chemical storm that happens inside your body within minutes of consumption. The liver, your main detox organ, is suddenly flooded with two major metabolic stressors: ethanol from the alcohol and fructose from the sugar. And both of them compete for processing. The liver prioritizes alcohol because it's toxic, meaning the sugar remains in circulation longer, spiking your blood glucose and promoting fat synthesis. The result? Elevated triglycerides, fatty liver buildup, and increased inflammation that directly impacts the heart. People often underestimate how quickly alcohol-sugar combinations can alter lipid metabolism. Each time this mix enters your system, your liver converts a portion of that sugar into triglycerides, fats that circulate in your blood. As triglyceride levels rise, your arteries start to lose flexibility, blood becomes thicker, and the risk of plaque formation goes up. These plaques don't appear overnight, but every time you indulge in another sugary cocktail, you're adding another microscopic layer of damage to your vascular walls. It's a slow and silent process that takes years to show visible symptoms, but by the time it does, your heart is already struggling to maintain normal function. The combination of high triglycerides and chronic inflammation is the perfect storm for developing coronary artery disease, one of the leading causes of death worldwide. When alcohol enters your bloodstream, it triggers oxidative stress, releasing free radicals that attack the delicate cells lining your arteries. Normally, your body can handle a small amount of oxidative damage, but when you add sugar to the mix, it multiplies the damage. Sugar increases the formation of advanced glycation end products, molecules that stiffen your blood vessels and make them less responsive to nitric oxide, the compound that keeps your arteries relaxed and open. As nitric oxide levels fall, your blood pressure rises, forcing your heart to pump harder. This chronic pressure overload wears out the heart muscle over time, leading to thickening of the ventricular walls, decreased pumping efficiency, and eventually heart failure if left unchecked. The situation worsens when you consider how these drinks affect hormonal balance. Alcohol interferes with the liver's ability to regulate insulin and estrogen levels. In men, it lowers testosterone, which plays a role in maintaining lean muscle and metabolic balance. In women, it raises estrogen levels, which in high amounts can contribute to fluid retention and blood clot risk. Add the sugar, and you get a hormonal roller coaster that throws off your entire cardiovascular rhythm. Insulin surges every time you consume these sweet alcoholic drinks, and over time, your body becomes resistant to it. This insulin resistance not only promotes weight gain, but also damages the endothelium, the inner lining of your blood vessels, causing inflammation that makes it easier for cholesterol to stick and harden into plaque. Even the way alcohol affects fat metabolism is troubling. Normally, your body burns fat for energy between meals, but alcohol stops this process in its tracks. Because alcohol can't be stored in the body, your liver works overtime to metabolize it first, That means fat burning comes to a halt. While your liver processes the alcohol, the sugar in your drink is quickly converted into stored fat, mostly in your abdomen and around your organs. This visceral fat is the most dangerous kind. It releases inflammatory cytokines that not only increase your risk of heart disease, but also raise your blood pressure and impair insulin sensitivity. It's why people who regularly consume sugary alcoholic drinks often develop a protruding belly and fatty liver, even if they're not overweight overall. Most people think that moderate drinking isn't a big deal, but the reality depends heavily on what you're drinking it with. A glass of red wine on its own occasionally might offer some antioxidants from the grape skins, but when that same alcohol is mixed with sugar-laden beverages like cola, tonic water, or fruit syrup, it loses any potential benefit. The combination accelerates oxidative damage rather than countering it. The fructose in these mixes doesn't just add sweetness. It goes straight to the liver, bypassing the usual energy pathways, and gets turned into fat. This fat can accumulate in the liver cells, leading to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which has a direct link to heart disease. The liver becomes inflamed, cholesterol levels rise, and your body starts producing small, dense LDL particles, the most dangerous kind for your arteries. Alcohol also depletes key nutrients that your heart relies on, especially magnesium, B vitamins, and antioxidants like glutathione. Without magnesium, your heart's electrical rhythm becomes unstable, leading to irregular beats or palpitations. Without adequate B vitamins, especially B6, B12, and folate, your homocysteine levels rise. Elevated homocysteine is a known risk factor for heart attacks and strokes because it weakens the structural integrity of your blood vessels. When these deficiencies are combined with the inflammatory and lipid raising effects of sugary mixes, the result is a heart that's overworked, undernourished, and constantly fighting to maintain balance. What's even more deceptive is how good these drinks can make you feel in the short term. The sugar gives you a quick dopamine hit, and the alcohol enhances that relaxed, carefree feeling. But underneath that temporary high, your body is entering a state of metabolic chaos. Your heart rate speeds up, your blood pressure fluctuates, and your liver is overloaded. For hours after drinking, your blood sugar may swing wildly, first spiking, then dropping sharply as insulin floods your system. This roller coaster not only stresses your cardiovascular system, but also leaves you tired, hungry, and more likely to crave more sugar and more alcohol the next day. It's a cycle that traps many people without them realizing it. One that slowly trains the body to rely on stimulants and depressants to maintain energy and mood. The problem is that alcohol changes how your brain perceives hunger and reward. Once you mix it with sugar, that effect multiplies. You feel hungrier, crave more salty or fatty foods, and eat more than you normally would. Every time you indulge, you're giving your body a triple hit: sugar, alcohol, and fat, all of which elevate triglycerides and promote inflammation. Over time, this pattern creates metabolic syndrome, a cluster of conditions including high blood pressure, high blood sugar, abnormal cholesterol levels, and increased waist circumference, all of which drastically raise your risk for heart disease. Even people who appear slim on the outside can have fatty deposits around their organs from repeated exposure to sugary alcoholic drinks. The connection between alcohol and inflammation goes even deeper. Alcohol stimulates the release of endotoxins from your gut into your bloodstream, especially when your gut barrier is already weakened by poor diet or stress. These endotoxins trigger an immune response that releases inflammatory cytokines throughout the body. When combined with sugar, which feeds harmful gut bacteria and increases permeability of the intestinal lining, you get a situation known as metabolic endotoxemia. This chronic low-grade inflammation spreads silently, damaging the walls of your arteries, impairing nitric oxide production, and contributing to the stiffening of your cardiovascular system. You might not feel any pain or discomfort for years, but the damage accumulates silently, showing up one day as high blood pressure, chest tightness, or even a sudden heart attack. People often associate alcohol damage only with the liver, but the heart bears a huge part of the burden. Each drink dilates your blood vessels temporarily, causing a warm, flushed feeling, but that dilation quickly gives way to constriction as your body tries to rebalance. Over time, these repeated dilation cycles weaken the elasticity of your blood vessels, making them more prone to microtears. Once those tears appear, cholesterol and immune cells rush in to repair the damage, leading to plaque buildup. When sugar is present, it accelerates this process by causing glycation, where sugar molecules attach to proteins in your artery walls, making them stiff and brittle. The result is a cardiovascular system that's less flexible, more inflamed, and more likely to develop blockages. Energy drinks mixed with alcohol are particularly dangerous. The caffeine and stimulants in these beverages mask the depressant effects of alcohol, making you feel more awake and alert while your body is actually under extreme strain. This combination sends your heart into overdrive, elevated blood pressure, rapid heart rate, and dehydration, all while your blood vessels are inflamed from the sugar content. It's the perfect recipe for arrhythmias and long-term heart muscle damage. Young people are especially at risk because their tolerance for these combined effects is lower, yet energy cocktails are often marketed as fun and harmless. The truth is, they're among the most aggressive ways to age your cardiovascular system prematurely. One of the most overlooked effects of alcohol-sugar combinations is their impact on sleep. When you drink, especially with sugary mixers, your blood sugar spikes and then crashes in the middle of the night. Your body responds by releasing cortisol and adrenaline, stress hormones that wake you up or prevent deep sleep. Poor sleep alone is a major risk factor for heart disease because it keeps your blood pressure elevated and prevents proper recovery of your cardiovascular system. Night after night of poor rest compounds the stress on your heart, keeping inflammation high and repair mechanisms low. Add that to the nutrient depletion from alcohol metabolism, and you've created the perfect environment for long-term heart strain. The inflammation caused by these beverages doesn't just affect your arteries, it affects your heart tissue directly. Alcohol and sugar both increase the production of free radicals inside heart muscle cells, which damages their mitochondria, the tiny powerhouses responsible for energy production. When mitochondria become dysfunctional, your heart can't contract as efficiently. Over time, this leads to a condition known as alcoholic cardiomyopathy, where the heart muscle weakens and stretches, reducing its ability to pump blood. Even moderate drinkers who regularly consume sugary cocktails can develop early signs of this condition, especially if they already have other risk factors like high blood pressure or poor diet. And let's not forget how dehydration plays into this. Alcohol is a diuretic, meaning it causes you to lose fluids and electrolytes. When mixed with sugar, this effect becomes even more pronounced because sugar pulls water into your digestive tract. Dehydration thickens your blood, making it harder for your heart to circulate oxygen efficiently. The lack of proper hydration also strains your kidneys, forcing your cardiovascular system to work harder to maintain blood pressure balance. Over time, this constant strain weakens both your kidneys and your heart, creating a feedback loop of stress and damage that's difficult to reverse. Perhaps the most deceptive part of all this is how socially acceptable these drinks are. From weekend parties to casual dinners, the idea of mixing alcohol with soda, tonic, or juice feels normal, almost harmless. But the long-term impact is anything but. You might not feel the damage after a few drinks, but your blood markers will start to change silently. Higher triglycerides, higher LDL cholesterol, and lower HDL levels. Your blood pressure might creep up, your resting heart rate might increase, and your body will start showing signs of inflammation in ways you might dismiss as normal aging or fatigue. It's not normal. It's the cumulative effect of years of small, repeated choices that your heart quietly absorbs. Every time you choose a sugary cocktail over a cleaner option, your body has to work a little harder to restore balance. Your liver detoxes more slowly, your pancreas releases more insulin, and your heart pumps against thicker, more inflamed blood. The good news is that the damage is not irreversible if you start making better choices. The heart is resilient. It can recover from years of neglect once you remove the triggers that burden it. But that recovery starts by recognizing that sugar and alcohol are a double-edged sword. Alone, each can cause harm. Together, they magnify each other's worst effects, creating a biochemical assault that your cardiovascular system simply can't keep up with over time. And the next silent destroyer of your heart health is one that's almost impossible to escape in modern life: fried fast foods. Overconsumption of fried fast foods increases oxidative stress and weakens heart muscle cells, creating a chain reaction of damage that your body struggles to repair. It's not just about calories or fat content. It's about what happens to the very structure of food when it's dropped into scalding oil, reheated again and again, and then served as something convenient, crunchy, and addictive. The truth is, every bite of fried food carries compounds that inflame, oxidize, and stress the cells of your cardiovascular system in ways that slowly wear it down from the inside out. When food is fried, especially in cheap industrial oils like soybean, corn, or canola oil, those oils undergo a chemical transformation. The high heat changes their molecular structure, breaking them down into toxic byproducts called aldehydes and free radicals. These compounds don't just sit harmlessly in your stomach. They enter your bloodstream, circulate through your arteries, and begin attacking the cells that line your blood vessels and heart. Your body tries to fight back by releasing antioxidants, but over time, it simply can't keep up. That's when oxidative stress takes over, an imbalance between free radicals and antioxidants that causes damage at the cellular level. In the heart, oxidative stress disrupts the mitochondria within muscle cells, impairing their ability to produce energy efficiently. Without enough energy, the heart muscle weakens, contracts less effectively, and becomes more prone to fatigue, arrhythmia, and even failure. The damage doesn't stop there. Every fried item, from fries to chicken nuggets to onion rings, is often coated in refined flour and starch before being submerged in oil. That coating absorbs the degraded fats, adding layers of inflammation to an already toxic mix. When you eat these foods, your body experiences a surge of triglycerides and LDL cholesterol while your HDL, the protective cholesterol, drops. This imbalance leads to fat deposits forming in your arteries, narrowing the passageways that deliver oxygen and nutrients to your heart. Over time, this restricted blood flow forces the heart to work harder just to keep you alive, causing the muscle walls to thicken and stiffen. It's a slow, invisible strain that builds up with every drive-through meal, every late night order, every cheat day that becomes a weekly routine. Fried fast foods also wreak havoc on your body's inflammatory response. Each meal triggers a spike in C-reactive protein, a marker of inflammation in the bloodstream. This means that your immune system is constantly being activated, treating every fried meal as an assault that needs to be fought off. Chronic inflammation like this is one of the key drivers of atherosclerosis, the buildup of plaque in your arteries. The combination of oxidized fats and inflammatory cytokines creates the perfect environment for this plaque to form, rupture, and eventually block blood flow. When a blockage occurs in the coronary arteries, it cuts off oxygen to parts of your heart muscle, leading to heart attacks or tissue death. What's terrifying is that this process doesn't require decades to develop. Regular consumption of fried foods can start affecting your cardiovascular system in just a few months. Then there's the issue of trans fats, one of the most dangerous components of fried foods. Even though many countries have restricted or banned them, trans fats are still found in countless fast food chains, particularly in reused or partially hydrogenated oils. These fats raise your LDL cholesterol, lower your HDL cholesterol, and increase inflammation all at once. Studies have shown that even small amounts of trans fats in the diet can significantly increase the risk of heart disease. They interfere with the function of the endothelium, the inner lining of your blood vessels, making it harder for them to expand and contract properly. When your arteries lose flexibility, blood pressure rises, and your heart has to work harder to maintain circulation. This constant strain eventually weakens the heart muscle and disrupts its rhythm, putting you at risk of arrhythmias or sudden cardiac events. Another hidden danger in fried fast foods is the presence of advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. These compounds are formed when proteins and fats are cooked at high temperatures in the presence of sugar or starch, which happens in virtually all deep fried foods. When you eat AGEs, they accumulate in your tissues, stiffen your blood vessels, and impair the elasticity of your heart muscle. They also stimulate the production of free radicals and inflammatory molecules, creating a vicious cycle that accelerates aging in your cardiovascular system. This is one of the reasons why people who eat fried foods regularly tend to develop early signs of heart disease, even if they're not overweight. It's not just about fat. It's about the toxic byproducts of heat and processing that your body can't handle in large amounts. The oils used in fast food frying are another major problem. Most restaurants use cheap seed oils because they're affordable and can be used multiple times before being replaced. But each time that oil is reheated, it oxidizes further, generating even more harmful compounds. When consumed, these oxidized fats get incorporated into your cell membranes, including those of your heart muscle cells. This makes the membranes more fragile and prone to damage, disrupting communication between cells and impairing the electrical signals that control your heartbeat. It's one of the reasons why people who eat fried foods frequently often experience palpitations, irregular rhythms, or a constant feeling of fatigue. Their hearts are literally struggling to keep up under the weight of cellular dysfunction caused by these oils. The effects of fried foods also extend to your metabolism. After eating a fried meal, your blood sugar tends to rise sharply, especially if the food is breaded or coated. The combination of refined starch sugar and fat triggers a strong insulin response, which over time can lead to insulin resistance. Once that happens, your body can no longer manage glucose properly and excess sugar starts turning into fat, particularly triglycerides that circulate in your bloodstream and get stored around your organs. Elevated triglycerides are a major predictor of heart disease because they thicken your blood and reduce the efficiency of oxygen transport. When your heart is forced to pump thicker blood, it consumes more oxygen and energy, leading to faster wear and tear of heart muscle cells. It's easy to underestimate just how much stress this kind of food puts on your cardiovascular system because the effects are subtle at first. You might feel a bit sluggish, maybe a little bloated, or notice your energy dipping a few hours after eating. But underneath, your blood vessels are being damaged. The endothelial cells lining your arteries are losing their ability to produce nitric oxide, the molecule that helps keep blood vessels open and flexible. Without enough nitric oxide, your arteries constrict, your blood pressure increases, and your heart has to generate more force with each beat. This elevated workload gradually enlarges the heart, making it less efficient at pumping blood, a condition known as hypertrophy. Over time, this leads to heart failure or arrhythmia if the damage isn't reversed. Fried fast foods also affect the balance of electrolytes and essential minerals in your body because they're loaded with sodium and lack potassium or magnesium. They create an imbalance that directly influences heart rhythm and blood pressure. Sodium retention leads to water retention, which increases blood volume and forces your heart to pump harder. Meanwhile, the lack of potassium and magnesium deprives your heart of the minerals it needs to maintain proper electrical signaling. This combination often leads to high blood pressure, swelling, and irregular heartbeats, even in younger individuals. The more often you consume these foods, the more you train your cardiovascular system to operate under stress. Another overlooked consequence of frequent fried food consumption is its impact on your gut health, which is closely tied to heart function. The oxidized fats and chemical additives found in fried fast foods disrupt the balance of good bacteria in your intestines. This imbalance allows harmful bacteria to thrive, releasing endotoxins that enter your bloodstream through a weakened gut barrier. These endotoxins trigger systemic inflammation, which travels through your blood vessels and directly affects your heart. Chronic low-grade inflammation of this kind has been linked not only to heart disease, but also to stroke and metabolic syndrome. Your gut and heart are connected through a network of signaling molecules, so when one suffers, the other follows. What makes fried fast foods particularly dangerous is how addictive they are. The combination of fat, salt, and crunch activates your brain's reward system, releasing dopamine and giving you a temporary sense of pleasure. This reward response encourages you to eat more, even when you're not hungry. Each time you give in to that craving, your body experiences another wave of oxidative stress and inflammation. The dopamine high fades quickly, leaving you craving another hit. This is how food companies design products, to keep you hooked. But the more often you satisfy that craving, the more damage accumulates inside your cardiovascular system. Over time, your body adapts to this constant stress by storing more fat, raising your blood pressure, and producing more inflammatory markers, all of which accelerate heart damage. There's also a dehydration factor most people overlook. Fried fast foods are incredibly high in sodium, which draws water out of your cells and increases fluid retention in your tissues. This imbalance disrupts your body's fluid regulation and places additional strain on your kidneys and heart. Dehydration thickens your blood, increases viscosity, and makes it harder for your heart to circulate nutrients efficiently. It also interferes with oxygen delivery to muscle tissues, including those of the heart, reducing stamina and contributing to feelings of tiredness or chest tightness after meals. Each time you eat fried fast food, your immune system senses danger. It recognizes the foreign chemical compounds and inflammatory fats as invaders and responds by sending white blood cells to neutralize them. But this constant immune activation wears down your defenses. Chronic exposure to fried foods turns your body into a battlefield with immune cells, oxidants, and inflammatory cytokines constantly in action. The longer this goes on, the more your arteries become scarred and hardened. This scarring, combined with fat deposits, creates a perfect environment for clots to form. When a clot travels to your heart or brain, it can block blood flow completely, leading to a heart attack or stroke. The heart muscle itself suffers directly from the chemical stress induced by these foods. Mitochondria, the energy powerhouses in heart cells, are extremely sensitive to oxidative damage. The more fried foods you eat, the more your mitochondria get exposed to reactive oxygen species that impair their function. When your heart cells can't produce enough ATP, the molecule that powers contractions, they start to weaken. This weakening isn't something you can feel immediately, but it manifests over time as shortness of breath, lower endurance, or a pounding heartbeat even during light activity. The process is slow but relentless, and unless you support your body with antioxidant-rich foods and proper nutrition, recovery becomes increasingly difficult. Even your blood viscosity changes after eating fried food. The oxidized fats cause your blood cells to become stickier, which means they clump together more easily. Sticky blood cells slow circulation, reduce oxygen transport, and increase the risk of clots forming in your arteries. When this happens repeatedly, microclots can form in the smaller vessels of the heart, starving tissues of oxygen and leading to cell death. This microscopic damage may not cause noticeable symptoms at first, but it adds up over years, contributing to a gradual decline in heart performance. Perhaps the most concerning part of all this is how normalized fried fast foods have become. They're convenient, affordable, and marketed as comfort food. Yet comfort comes at the cost of chronic inflammation, oxidative damage, and eventual exhaustion of your heart's resilience. Your body wasn't designed to handle the constant onslaught of reheated oils, chemical preservatives, and artificial flavors. Each fried meal might taste satisfying for a moment, but it leaves a toxic footprint in your cardiovascular system that your body has to work overtime to clear. The more often you eat these foods, the less capacity your heart has to recover between episodes of stress. And it's not just the occasional fried item, it's the lifestyle that comes with it. People who frequently eat fried fast foods often have lower intake of fruits, vegetables, and antioxidants. Without these protective nutrients, the oxidative stress from fried foods becomes even more intense. Antioxidants like vitamin C, vitamin E, and polyphenols are what neutralize free radicals, but if your diet lacks them, the damage compounds. It's like lighting a fire and removing the water supply at the same time. The flames keep spreading, slowly but surely consuming the foundation of your cardiovascular health. So every time you bite into something fried, remember that the golden, crispy texture comes with an invisible cost. Inside, your body is dealing with inflammation, oxidation, and energy depletion that your heart can only manage for so long. Those fleeting moments of pleasure are exchanged for years of cumulative damage that no medication or quick fix can fully reverse. The choice is yours to feed your heart with life-giving whole foods or to exhaust it with the toxic aftermath of fried indulgence that leaves it weaker with each passing day.